Hi Janelle. It took me a little bit of time to get it back up and running, but what I did was I actually deleted this. I removed it and I recreated a new web app the same way as you did when you created the OAuth app here. Then what I did, I had to manually add one package. The package was, oh come on, why are there two files here? It doesn't make sense. They even look like they're the same. I don't know whether that's real. Anyway, the package I had to add manually was page list, and you do all that through NuGet Manager. You can add it for solution, or it's actually easier to do it here. Right click, add packages, and then you type what you want. I wanted paged list, and when I found it, I hit the install button that was here. Anyway, at the moment it doesn't compile, but it's not far off, so there's something going on in account controller. But the big issues I can see at the moment is that you've gone and created a model called quote, and that obviously is not going to work because we already have a model called quote. Our model, as you know, has moved up here. It's derived from base job, so most of the properties for this actually live here in the designer file, so you can see all the properties. When you run a generate, this might, let's have a look at that spreadsheet. So this is the removal quote structure. One of the things that you said to me the other day is that you were having issues with attributes and stuff. Now, one of the changes I've made here in the columns, firstly we can target particular projects and subfolders with any class now, class or model, but over here I've added some new areas for custom attributes. You might want to look through the code at how it's generated, but if you use if they're just simple, like Bob and a pipe and Smith, that would create two attributes, and an attribute in C# looks like this. So it would be Bob, and then on the next line it would be Smith. That's how it would look. Now if it was a little bit more complex, you can type that as well. So this one, I've just pressed cut because I don't know what I want to do with it yet. I'm just going to move it over there because what I found was that the database generator failed for this one. I'm not sure why yet, so I'm not going to use that particular attribute, but you should be able to create new attributes as you see fit. Now I might make more complex examples like string length max 50, something like that, but for now you can just put them all into here. And as I said, if you need more than one, you just attribute 1, attribute 2, like that. So what you need to do now is run the generator with quotes the way you want. So quotes the way you want should be based on what I'm already doing with quotes, but with your new fields, which most of these aren't new. They're actually the same as what I've got. But that is new. Now, you might have to manually add this. So one of the things you'll notice with a quote is that there's both the designer and then there's the non-designer, and this is custom. So when the code generator runs, this gets updated every time, but this doesn't. So what that means is that you could come and look and generate most of these fields here, but this one is a little bit different. So with that one in particular, we could go up into the quote itself and just add it here. And if we had that object, this would just work. So the object would look like everything that's in here, plus this one. So you need to generate quote with the new fields that you want, and use the quote from domain as opposed to web models. But the other thing you need to do is see if you can, I'd like you to attempt to move all these models, not tutorial, but all these models up into our spreadsheet as well. Okay, so start off by creating a row for every line you see in here. So let's pick one of them, and I do them one at a time. Something simple like this one. In fact, I'll do this first one for you. So go over here, add a new line. It's going into the domain project, it's going into the models folder. It's a section, we know this section because this is all part of identity. So identity, what's its name? That's its name. So we just paste that straight in. Its name plural, profiles, that'll do. Is it a model interface? No, it's not an interface. It's just a model. Does it extend from anything? No. Does it need to end up on the DB context? So the DB context in the data layer is this class, and you notice these tutorial tables are here in the non-generated area, but I also have a generated area. So if we go to the generated area, we got these. I don't know why they're not. Okay, they're there. So we want to include it, and we want to include it straight after here. So we'll just make that a 1. Can't remember what is customs for. We save the file. Now we've got to add in some columns. So if we go back to here, you had an account ID and a company. So let's move to the bottom. Add that. This is the name. Add that. These are the fields. That's a label, so for now we'll just do that. This was an int, and I think that was a text. And we got this one. I will have support for this later on, but for now we'll manually put that in. I'll show you that again. So this model name should probably be the same as the table in this case. Now I don't think there's anything else. We'll save, and then we'll run the generator. Now because the DB context is updated, we've got 2 things to run. We got that one and we got that one. So for now, let's try this one first. Simple one. Hopefully it just runs. And while it's doing that, we can go into the designer here. Did that update? Yes, it did, and it added the new identity section. Now that all happened because we put a 1 here. So, but as you can see, it's going, well, I don't have this object, and that's because we haven't generated it. So if we go over here, like that, and hopefully we now have the designer and the non-designer code in play. Quotes updated, that's okay, that's okay. Let's ignore that. The reason we're ignoring that is because we haven't added it to the project. So if we come over here, we're up in models. We'll need to refresh or show hidden. How does it work? Come on. There it is. We include it. We will be using that file in a moment. And now that's okay. I think actually we'll be compiling. But one other thing to note, except for the additional errors, but another thing to notice is that you did have something custom going on in here, and that was this piece of code. I think I have support for it already. Well, it's nearly there, but until it is, what we can do is come over to this class, which has all the generated properties, and we'll just put the non-generated property here. Okay, make sure we're importing collection, and that's how you can start building up objects for identity and views and stuff like that. Now, at a later date, we might actually modify these subfolders so that these individual sections, like identity, might live in their own model folders. But for now, this is all okay.